Welcome everybody to the first edition of the top plays of the week here in the ECAC new semester in fall 23. Klutchke here to bring you all of the best clips from week number 1 of action. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. Sharks of Long Island and the Kangaroos of SUNY Canton squaring off in Super Smash Brothers, and it's the Sharks leading this one 1-0 with the help of my guy. Although in the second set it was DS Mario main that shows perfection, and if you don't know what I mean, just keep your eyes on the bottom of the screen.
A little too flashy for my taste, as right now DS Mario main is getting the low percent advantage that we've been seeing. Again, they are a unrelenting drill, just burrowing into the stage, burrowing into any space Mono tries to claim for themselves. Up air, is it gonna be the up B? It's gonna be the finisher right there. 0 to death right there for DS Mario main.
Kilo Miles and Soy on that call, not a scratch on Mario on that stock, and that leads up to a 2-0 set win for the Sharks in the first week of action. Tiffin Dragons and the Buffalo State Bengals take us to Valorant, and the Dragons get map 1 on Lotus 13-4, but our best clip does not happen until the next map on Split, where Han Solo Burger is the last one standing. But remember, Han Solo was the first to shoot, and this one doesn't miss.
Yeah, now Han Solo Burger gonna have to do some craziness. Trying to isolate duels, gonna hit the first and even gets away. Seekers can go out, that's gonna make things a little tougher. Shots continuing to go through, and Han Solo Burger, he's isolated another one. 1v4, absolutely possible. The guiding light gets the confirmation, and Wheaton shooting left and right will have the read, but Han Solo Burger is the clutch king for Tiffin.
Play the theme song, everyone. Well, we can't play it here because it's copyrighted. But anyways, Vincent and Rare Adam on that call there. Han Solo Burger with the 4K, and it leads up to a win for Tiffin, 2-0. King Cougars and the UAlbany Great Danes in Overwatch 2 action, and this game was absolutely crazy. In fact, we're going to give you 2 plays from this game, which starts off on Lijiang Tower and the Gardens. And there's a Lucio involved, so you pretty much know how this is going to go.
It is a very rough fight for Albany. They will switch it up. Bastion on the field, as well as the Rhine, and well, there they go.
Well, you don't even get to see what the Bastion can do before Beans says, no, you're going for a
Oh
Beans
my
does it again! What is going on here, Jesse? This is map number 1!
I'll tell you what's going on in 4 words. Lucio, Gardens, top play. I mean, that's all that can be really said about it. But our second clip takes us to the next map on UAlbany, and this...
What's up, everybody? Thank you so much for being here. We are back with week 7 of the ECAC Fall 23 Contenders Division. 1.5 Brazilians back at it again on the broadcast. My name is 4Y4. I'm here with the lovely Sofchan. Sofchan, we've got a top of the table clash on this Friday night. Albany undefeated, Brooklyn Gold 4-2, sitting in a good spot right now. But man, they've got a tough task ahead of them because playoffs are around the corner. This is not going to be an easy team to beat.
No, absolutely not. And it's not just the case that it's one undefeated team versus a team that is 4-2 on the hands of Brooklyn. It's also a table that has around 7 teams on 3rd seed on 4 wins and 2 losses. This is really the moment where this is week 7. Next week is the last one before playoffs, and you can only guarantee a spot for playoffs if you reach that top 8. So if you look at UAlbany, they're looking fine. They are feeling good. Everything is chill. But you look at Brooklyn, they are really looking for high competition and a best of 3 that is going to determine everything going on to week 8.
Yeah, and you talk about the 8 teams tied at 4 wins. That's not to say anything of the rest of the teams nipping at their heels. You got 2 teams, GWU Blue and Mars Hill Varsity, on 3 wins. And actually, now that I look down, that's actually not as many teams as I thought. There are a bunch of teams on 2 wins. Okay, so it's basically,
Yeah.
it's a big chunk of like 10 teams, but still fighting for what is effectively 14 teams fighting for 8 spots. It means that pretty much half of those teams are going to be really upset at Thanksgiving time. What better way to spice up the family Thanksgiving Day conversation with,
Oh,
if someone asks you, oh yeah, when are you going to get married? It's like, it doesn't matter, man. I didn't make
I was
ECAC
gonna
playoffs.
make that joke. Stop. I was gonna be. Oh, what about the girls? What about your playoffs, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Just Nana, just looking forward to ECAC playoffs. You know her. She be looking at esports.
Yeah.
And we're going into the draft here. First game is gonna be Brooklyn on the blue side. Riven is the first Ben for them. Do you look for anything in particular, 4x4? Are we thinking about metas that have been dominant in Worlds? Are we looking for something that is just super niche to collegiate? Tell me your thoughts.
I feel like at this level in collegiate, you're going to see pocket picks banned out. Since something like Riven, that screams to me that, especially on, that being banned away from an undefeated UAlbany top laner in Dan Crackers, they want no part of that. Syndra, though, this is a little more like it. Syndra and Orianna have been coming back. Orianna especially, right? B1, if you've been watching any of the League of Legends World Championship, you know how strong this champion is. Such a great facilitator. That ult actually does damage now. It is a really, really rough pick to lane against. Wukong and Echo going to be the next couple of bans here, so.
I enjoy the Wukong. I think it's very meta, but the Echo definitely more on the pocket pick side that you mentioned there. So the target bans going out for especially Smells Fishy or 166 for their jungle. Swain being the last hover for this round of bans for Brooklyn. It might be the one to be locked. It is. So I understand that being usually a APC in the bot lane kind of pick, usually going with a Seraphine or just having the Seraphine in the mid lane. So we'll see if that's going to be the case. UAlbany going for the last ban here, looking at that Senna. Did we see? I think I heard someone saying that we saw Senna, and who was it on Worlds? It was a bot lane, the very unconventional Senna with.
I
forgot what it
I know what you're
is.
talking about.
Yeah. I'm gonna. Okay. Just stall. I'm gonna look for it.
Obviously, Senna Tom Kench, that's the big one. That is what NRG, the boys from North America, rode into a quarterfinal berth. So strong. Speaking of so strong, Rakan, this champion does everything. As someone who loves playing engaged supports, I was a Nautilus, Leona kind of 2-trick back in the day, and not that my champion pool's expanded all that much, but a friend of mine was like, hey, you should try playing Rakan. I think you would really like this champion, and I'm in love with this champion. I adore Rakan, and there is that Orianna. So if you look like you got a tidbit for us.
Oh yeah, and I actually found here, so it was T1 using the Senna and Nyla in the bot lane against LMG. So there you go, very specific, but of course, being collegiate, we're looking at things that are a little more straightforward, a little more close to the heart, where you play in the solo queue. So the Rakan, first pick you mentioned on the blue side, very strong because you could be potentially denying the Xayah. Super incredibly solid in the meta nowadays. On the other side, the Orianna you mentioned, paired with a Misfortune. I like that. I wouldn't be surprised to see the likes of a Jarvan, for example, in a jungle for a team like this. It just really pairs super well, like a wombo combo. Speaking of the Xayah, there it is. The Lovers duo is confirmed for Brooklyn.
Yep. Xayah still unbelievably strong. And there's the Kha'Zix as well. Carry jungler locked in for 166. And yeah, no stranger to carry junglers. Has played the Kindred in last week's win over Farmingdale State. That was a 2-0. So playing something a little more, with a little bit more onus. But top lane carry, not a stranger as well to this Brooklyn side, Zenitsu. And given that they have dedicated those resources to the top lane in games past, I'm not surprised that they are saving that for kind of your B4, B5 picks.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that Jarvan, to round it up, it just makes it seem like UAlbany are going for something super traditional, super old school in League of Legends. Wombo combo, just put your orb on Jarvan, goes in, flag and drag, Cataclysm into bullet time. Super simple. Our last round of bans has come through. we talked about those top picks that could be so essential for both sides here. Brooklyn goes for a Jax ban, while UAlbany goes for a Yone that could be flexed here and there, but definitely going more towards that mid to top lane. Rounded out with a Ari, which is good considering you have an Orianna. You want to keep her away because she's going to have good control, but at the same time she has much more roaming potential than Orianna does, so I really like that. Last one for Brooklyn is going to be the Aatrox, so really going for top lane. That would indicate, considering the bans that we have so far, we might be looking at a top lane on, for example. I think that would make sense.
Yeah, no, I could see that. Yeah, I mean, you've got a good amount of damage really on both sides. Jarvan's still incredibly, Jarvan's just incredibly strong no matter what. He does a sneaky amount of damage. Braum is going to be what's locked in for Tony117 here. And Tony and Super Ben, they are no strangers to kind of your unorthodox bot lane combos either. Zillion Ziggs, they busted out. Ziggs obviously a terror in a number of lanes right now. You don't need Twitter.com to tell you that. You just need to hop into server and see what this champion can do. It's just goofy. Smells fishy, though. Going to be on the Lissandra. And if that Darius is locked in, then we are going to get Zenitsu again on a carry. But Albany knowing that as well. And Dan Crackers, he's someone that, I mean, you just got to look at the bans, right? Riven taken away, Jax and Aatrox, all three of those taken away from the Albany top laner. They know that this is the matchup to watch. He's played the Camille before, but it looks like it might be the set locked in
confirmed.
here. So I'm excited about this top lane matchup. These two are going to beat the snot out of each other.
Oh yeah, definitely. One with the axe, one with the fists, and I really like it because I saw how fast that pick was on set for UAlbany, especially considering they specifically chose to get the top lane as the last pick. You see the Darius, you can go for something that can have a shield, which the set does. A lot of damage, and that can have access to the backline, right? Because in this case, when you have the likes of the Kazakhs, there's not much of a front line. You have the Darius also trying to go to the backline. The Lissandra is going to be more of a middle stage. I would even say that in this composition, the Lissandra would even be the front line in a certain way, because she's going to be the one closest to, for example, the Jarvan or the Braum. She's not going to really go to that backline, or else she's just going to use the Glacial Tomb immediately on herself. I don't think that is the best of plays, because the big heavy damage dealers are going to be the Kazakhs, the Xayah, and the Darius. So the Lissandra is going to be more of an enabler, and then as soon as you have her passive going on, then she's going to be dealing more damage. But that requires those kills to start up first. So it's interesting what we have on the side of Brooklyn, but it can be tricky, especially because of the Kazakhs. I'm looking at this jungler and thinking that is very squishy. When you have a Jarvan on the other side, they can really go head-to-head in the beginning of the game, and Jarvan would have the upper hand.
Yeah, I mean, like with the Braum and with a set, if nothing else, right? I mean, you don't get a ton of value out of ulting a Kazakhs out of the fight, right? You want usually something a little bit beefier, but you've got a couple of disengage tools. But that's really kind of who you're going for, right? You're going for the squishy MF, the squishy Orianna as well. Maybe it's because, you know, I've watched too much CB LOL and seen a lot of Karthus or a lot of really just rough Kazakhs performances. I get nervous whenever I see this champion.
Me too.
But again, look, Albany, they're a heck of a team, and like they're undefeated for a reason. Drafts like this will definitely help. Jarvan Orianna, as we get a pause here, hopefully won't go too long, is such a potent combo. Again, like sometimes, you know, yeah, we talked about how in college, you know, in collegiate, you target some pocket picks, you play, we were comfortable at it. I think 99% of the time, that's fine. Sometimes don't overcomplicate it. You get Jarvan, you get Orianna, great. See you on the Rift, buddy.
Yeah. It's what I said. It's just so straightforward for Way4, because it's a composition that is just as old as time. It is safe, and it's one that can really protect your ADC. So win a meta where sometimes it can get super strong, super difficult even to peel off your ADC, especially when you have the Kazakhs wanting to go into the backline. You have the Rakan as well wanting to get the access to the backline so Zenitsu can pull out the misfortune out of the fight. You really have to protect this ADC, and you can do it so well with the Orianna, the Jarvan, and the Braum. The set is just going to be that spicy cherry on top that will guarantee that you can have access to the backline while also taking people away and just out of the team fight, out of range from Misfortune, so she doesn't get that much damage on her head. I really like it, and I am on board with you, Brooklyn. I like what you bring to the table, but I am just so scared of assassins in the jungle. I'm very skeptical of too squishy junglers like the Kazakhs, like an Evelyn that I've seen recently in Collegiate NA recently. It just gets me nervous. I don't feel like they are super reliable in competitive nowadays. It's like how we say in Portuguese, it's either 80 or 8.
Yeah,
And
there you go.
it's difficult. It's difficult to get that big of a lead in this high level.
Yeah, you're going to need just simply a heck of a performance from 166. And it's not like they don't have that in them. They play carry junglers. They do fine on them. And with carry champions on the top side as well. Zenitsu, that is a pairing that carry jungle, carry top lane has been working out for Brooklyn. Again, they have had a rough go at it kind of scheduling wise. Their 2 losses have been to a fellow 4-2 team in GWU. And then the second one's it's escaping me, but they've played some good teams and they've lost 2 good teams. They haven't lost any kind of gimmies or fumbles along the way. Sadly, they're going to have, again, a tough task ahead of them here. UAlbany, on the other hand, though, it's not really a must win for them, because even if they drop down, they're probably going to be fine. It would take a pretty epic implosion from Albany from here on out if they were to miss playoffs. But yeah, they're sitting pretty right now. I think they're going to play loose. They're going to play comfortable. But for Brooklyn, this is a bit of a must win. And look, this is a bit of an unreliable top jungle. But I mean, if we want to take the positive side of it, if this top jungle can get going, it could be really hard to stop.
Yeah, it's a snowball potential. You take the high risk, high reward that could be very successful with the Kazakhs. You would take advantage of having good mobility going around the map. You can go for invades, you can go for vertical jungling if that's the case, but you got to be careful on how the bot lane, for example, is behaving, because K146 could have a great time in the bottom side trying to shut down the Xayah. So it's just important to have your bot lane in the same page, knowing that they have to be safe, and guarantee that the top side, as you mentioned there, with the Kazakhs and with the Darius, are going to be getting the lead, while the bottom side of the map is going to be just really standing that ground, trying to keep things stable for the mid game to arrive. As we came back here to the game, are we in? Are we not? Only time will tell.
I think we are back. Let's see.
I think it's a moment to appreciate. Oh, are we back? Okay.
There
back
we
to
go.
Summer's Rift. Let's go. Brooklyn on the blue side, UAlbany on the red. And again, Brooklyn chose the blue side, and they went for the Rakan first pick. We saw a ward coming out here in the river from UAlbany that has been taken away by Brooklyn. So neither side's really committing to aggressive vision thus far.
No, nothing too crazy. Just taking kind of your 5 points, but both teams kind of know where the other junglers are. And again, if we're talking about tracking this Kazakh specifically, that is important information. So the knowing that the Kazakh is probably going to clear bottom to top. And again, 116 and Zenitsu, this is a duo that has been kind of the hammer for Brooklyn College. So it won't be a surprise to anybody. We'll see the wave management on the top side, how that comes to fruition, how these guys can manage their lane states. Because again, both these champions, they can get going really, really quick here.
One thing for that I find very interesting is looking at 166 going for first strike on the Kazakhs. Though that really indicates that they not just want to go for invades, but they really want to meet each other halfway. They want to get those scuttle crabs fights early on and just try to get the isolation going topside. A lot of damage onto this. Might be first blood.
Oh, got the flash out of Zenitsu, and he went in there and took a tower shot to boot, but got a huge summoner spell out of the BC top laner. That is big. He is down a level. He's going to get a big old wave crashing into him. Man, those hemorrhoid stacks, they stack up quick.
They do. They really do. But that's something I mentioned as well that the set does that is good advantage. There is the shield. Looking at 166, going into the invade.
This is exactly what you were talking about, Sophin, with the advantage from Zenitsu. This is a perfect time to go in. Forces the flash out of Quad. If he can get to the other side of the blast cone, maybe he's got a shot. No, thank you. The bug is good. First blood over to BC.
Interesting here. They went for a clear on the bottom side, went top jungle, checked if there were any sort of vision there. We knew because of Zenitsu's positioning how things were going in regards to the enemy jungler. So K1 was going to get spotted out. It was clear they were going to go for the red buff. Insta, first blood, take out the buff instead as well. Are going to guarantee the Scuttle Crab on the top river. That is a great start for Brooklyn.
Yeah, we said we wanted to see this get going, right? That was the upside of this top jungle. That was the upshot, is that, look, this is a high-risk, high-reward composition, and you pointed it out so fantastic that this first strike means you want to be getting sturdy in the mid lane as Quan able to get the EQ in and got, Quan. Yeah, okay, no, Quan lost his flash up there. Okay, I'm caught up now.
Yeah, there you go. It was a flash, but blown by Jarvan in that invade from 166. So both junglers, we got them on a sort of similar, even stage in regards to camp clearing. Of course, the first blood on the hands of the Kha'Zix is going to be much more useful, but being a Jarvan, you have good possibilities of going into the mid lane, trying to get some pressure, and just really going through the jungle fast enough to get those clears. So in regards to creep and jungle clear is not going to be that much behind, but I want to see now, because of that first blood, a lot of pressure on this top side. Isn't it going to fall for this one? It's either going to be a reset. It is for K1 as they come back to base. But the Darius is just really doing work by themselves.
Yeah, and getting those boots as well early just lets you
Oh my
stick to
God.
champions so much better. Nice EW again, and that's how we've seen these trades go. Dan Crackers really playing on the edge of this champion, right? Like you said, that shielding offers him such a huge advantage, and grabbing full defensive items as well. Boots, door and shield was his start, and then with a chain vest or armor, whatever. I should know that.
Oh, I forgot that one as well. Not in Portuguese. Something coraça. That's the one.
All right.
But that is fine. It's all about perspective, right? When I'm here, I remember things in Portuguese. When I'm at Raya Brazil, I remember things in English. And for both things, I get called out by my producers. It's fine. Nothing happened here. Nobody called me out. I'm a good bean.
Cloth armor. Oh, brain. All right.
Yeah, there you go.
We did it.
Yay!
Speaking of the
I stalled
advantage,
enough for you.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
The advantage that 116 was able to get has resulted in a serrated Dirk. So he's got the lethality up and running here. And again, yes, you've got a Set. Yes, you've got a Jarvan. Yes, you've got a Braum. You say, okay, why do you build lethality into that team? It doesn't matter. Look, the Kha'Zix, he's not concerned about those three. That's why you have a leap, and you can upgrade that leap, right? And you can flash, you can void assault. You've got means of getting into the back line. You are concerned about just those champions. Spellsfishy going in, gets the ult in. Corellius able to get the flash off, and now here comes Quan flashing over. 166 is on 2 kills. Spellsfishy might be in some trouble here. One more auto is going to do it, but it will not be enough. Flashing away, and now Quan went in and got absolutely nothing. Meanwhile, on the top side, Dan Crackers with a little solo bolo.
Okay. And another fight happening here for the Scuttle Crab 166, much lower on health than Quan is. And we'll see if that's going to be a given. It will. One thing that I wanted to point out all right, just one moment. Don't Crackers. Okay. No, just getting that deep vision. One thing I wanted to point out is how important that 166 got the flash away from Quan in that invade in the early minutes and didn't use the flash themselves because they needed the flash to get the kill there. Oh, bottom side.
Oh, man, Super Ben might be caught out here. That was a beautiful read by Charsu, excuse me.
Chashui! It's such good food. It's like pork. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Chashui, yeah.
Okay.
Chashui is like a way to prepare pork, I think. Yum. Like a Chinese, I think.
Okay. Hey, you could have told me that was literally anything, and I would have believed
yeah,
you.
that's like popcorn in Taiwanese.
Yeah, sure.
Could have been anything. Oh, we got some pinks coming out from UAlbany here on this Drake. They have some sort of vision but the wave is rather stagnant here on the bottom side. They have the pink ward that's going to be taken out by Brooklyn, so most of the priority is going to go to Brooklyn instead. Kha'Zix is around the area, just behind a pit, taking out that red buff. No, they're going to initiate it right now for wave 4.
166 has Smite. He's got no flash, but again, he's level 6 and Quan is level 5. They've got nothing to do here, and Charsu able to get the prio in the bottom lane as well. Corralius saying, all right, you know what? I'll start up Herald, I guess. So it looks like it will be an objective trade. Quan doesn't need level 6 to get an objective down. Again, with Noriana and a Smite, you can do just about whatever you want. Dan Cracker's a little prio in the top lane as well.
Things looking good. It's nice to see an even trade, especially in this level of gameplay. Top side, again, I feel like because of the items the set has been stacking, the Darius is going to start falling a little bit behind. Of course, there is the true damage with the passive, but still, because of the shielding the set has, it could be very much denied. We might not see any other kills coming out from Darius, especially because Dan Crackers has already guaranteed a first kill on themselves. At this point, this is going to be a little harder on Darius. Might even mean that 166 is going to go for different rotations, maybe in the mid lane for Smells Fishy, and even here for the bottom side, because UAlbany is so advanced in the lane.
Yeah, the one kill, the one solo kill, like you were alluding to, it swings the momentum of the matchup so much. And I would be really surprised if Zenitsu is going to keep opting into those matchups. And again, with no teleport, right? It's on Dan Crackers now to abuse that, right? Even though Dan Crackers has no teleport, Zenitsu, he took Flash Ghost, right? Those are combat summoners. And if he's not able to take that advantage in the lane, then it is his job to punish that. Now, hang on a second, 166, maybe looking for something in the top lane, but Quan there to respond. Dan Crackers walking into that tri-brush with absolutely no fear of neither God nor man.
Yeah, no king. And Jarvan was just around the corner, so you got to be careful with those. Of course, having the sweeper, they've got the possibility to check out where the enemy was prior to that. But Jarvan going on to the top side, Zanita's in trouble, has to flash away.
Oh, had to pop the flash and the ghost. Yeah, 116 abandoned in post. And Dan Crackers and Quan said, all right, thank you very much. We'll take it from here. And now Zenitsu with no summoners. He's got to be really careful here. Getting a little sturdy in the bottom lane. You see Jace not going to be able to grab anything here. And with no objectives up right now, it's just kind of fighting for fighting's sake. But again, 166, he's got to figure out how to keep this advantage going, right? I mean, the solo kill was fantastic, and it is a little... I would have liked to see, like you were alluding to, Soph, the advantage played elsewhere in that top lane. Again, you're a Kha'Zix. What are you going to do to a set?
No, nothing. Absolutely nothing. You're just most likely going to get killed, like baited into the tower, dove, and then dead yourself. So really doesn't make sense. I agree with you there. And on top of it, we can talk about as well the 1,000 gold lead that 166 has on Quan that hasn't been really used so far. Thank you here so much to our observer for pointing us out the gold differential. And on top of that, I think just 30 seconds earlier, we saw around 20 CS ahead for 166 compared to Quan, but now Quan is gaining some stage back. They've got good vision protecting the top jungle. They're going here for the bottom side. They're gonna meet each other halfway, and we'll see what is going to come out of this. Is it just going to be stable, nothing happens? We'll see. Just going for Scuttle Crab as Brooklyn is rotating too.
Oh, hang on a second. Smells Fishy got a lot of CC down at 116. It's on a plate for him. Is he going to be able to get an advantage? He will. Shield from Corralius, not going to be enough. That is what you wanted to see.
Beautiful read from Brooklyn, going out with Lissandra and Shashui coming from bot lane, rotating here as well, maybe even getting something else. 166, they clear out the ward, but the Zaya is still clearing out the wave here. And with no backup from minions, there is no way to go for a dive for 1-4.
No. And I was going to give UAlbany credit to how they were playing these lanes, right? Because, again, 166, he's got targets in the mid lane and in the bottom lane to go for. But you can just kind of follow the other jungler around, and, you know, that's the downside, right? Is if you're playing back and not giving 116 room to enter. Oh, hang on a second. I'm going to hold my point here. Zenitsu might be in a little bit of trouble, or his tower might be in any case. Quan doesn't have to blow, or doesn't have the flash to blow, I should say. Still in turret plating season, so Shelly is giving
Ooh, a
2
TP.
plates worth, and the TP will bail out Zenitsu from anything further. Smells fishy, using that to dissuade anything from the UA top laner and jungler, but abandoning potentially a little bit of farm. And Corralius, that CS
Yeah.
lead is starting to grow.
It really is, going out to almost 30 now, and with the amount of clear wave that an Orianna has, the amount of damage that she can deal with just the auto attacks alone onto the turret, that is not the greatest of calls. But Brooklyn's still going for a priority on the Drake, as they have already guaranteed the first one of the game, going out to 30%, and finally 166, showing that the damage on the Kha'Zix is well enough to guarantee early game pressure.
Yeah, the threat of a Kha'Zix is sometimes just as good as a Kha'Zix itself. So it hasn't really manifested in terms of kills as much as maybe you would like to see. But look, still 3-0. First one to a mythic item by, quickest to a mythic item by far. Got the 2 dragons. Still a 1,300 gold individual lead. 1,400 there. Thank you again to our observers pointing that out. But still, still doing all right here. But Albany with the CS lead and the kill lead in the top lane and in the mid lane, able to stem that bleeding just a little bit. So they're down about 500 gold right now.
Things are looking very nice for the team that betted on having a squishy jungler, an assassin that could really derail stuff in the mid game. But topside, a flash away from Dan Crackers gets them out from a solo kill, while Zenitsu gets out with a lot of HP, pushing out Smells Fishy, taking out this lane, shoved into the mid side. But no platings are on the map anymore, and I'd say that UAlbany has guaranteed the most gold out of it.
Dan Crackers, that was a very respectful flash there. I was, maybe he thought that, I don't know. I mean, that damage from Zenitsu was going to stack up real quick there. Maybe it would have brought him into the threshold. I feel like it might not have, but then again, I don't play top lane, so I don't know. But that's
Me neither.
yeah, Darius tends to kill people kind of out of nowhere. That's just what he does.
He does.
Yeah,
I think
Crackers,
IB just go on, sorry.
I was going to say that Dan Crackers got a stride breaker, and now BC on at the Herald.
And basically, that's what I was going to mention as well. Like, having the first item peak for the set, it means that I don't think the Darius can take a dive at this point, and not at least a successful dive. Maybe it's going to be a 1-for-1. So I would say for the Darius, just wait for you to guarantee your first completed item, and then you can go for it, because I agree with you. They have the potential to really just one-shot people all of a sudden when you think that is not going to be enough damage, then it is. Bot side, though, because of this rotation coming out from Chashvi, a lot of damage put out on the bottom tier 1 for UAlbany, and that would mean to me that they can start getting more pressure on the mid side, try to contest the next trade, because they don't have anything this far.
Trading still up top with no fear is Zenitsu. Dragon not going to be up for another 2 minutes here. It will be the Clouds, or no, it will be a Chemtech Soul, excuse me. That will be all to play for in about 7 minutes time at minimum. Haven't seen too much action on the bottom side. You see a bunch of goose eggs across the bottom of your scoreboard there.
Oh.
Charsu maybe making that, wanted to make that change. Get that extra long battle dance, thanks to the Zyra Rakan passive. Yeah, taking absolutely no prisoners. Drops the exhaust immediately in with the quickness. Tony177 drops the Glacial Fissure. Will that be enough? Super Bren taking a whole bunch of damage. Drops the W and the bullet time with the CC. How did they turn that around? Flashing away with the ultimate. BC Jose. Jace, excuse me. Abel choked up. Oh my goodness. Quan. You know who did no choking? Was neither Zenitsu nor Quan. Quan in there with the flash, with the cataclysm. Apologies, I got something caught in my throat right in the middle of that. What a turn! Bottom line, though,
it was damage.
from
It was
UAlbany.
damage. Got some damage cut in your throat. Oh my god, the knockup gets them away. And the flash is not going to save them for a 4. Another kill is going to be taken here by Brooklyn. So it's going to be a 1-for-1. An ADC for support on the side of UAlbany. Still 1 minute left for the next Drake to spawn. And the tier 1 fast break is going to be taken by Brooklyn's top laner, Zenitsu. And I want to talk about this fight here on the bottom side for Way4. That I really appreciate how Chashwi went in, got the knock up, so it just feels like that solo queue Lee Sin, you get the Q, but you go, then you come back. So you don't really trust if they're going to commit to the damage, and then they did, going out with the ulti, the charm. Oh, are they going to commit here in the mid lane? Not quite yet, but the shockwave does! What?
Shockwave in. Oh my goodness. I did not think the Corrales had enough damage there. I don't know if 166 did either. Shelly's going to get a little bit of something for her troubles here. Almost able to break down the mid-tier 1. Man, that's that Orianna damage, man.
Yeah, it's just where Orianna is at the moment, right? Hence why we see her so much on the world stages. Jungle.
Quan able to get out with the EQ. That is really, really lucky there. No flash, no problem for the Albany jungler. But now, so, it's only a 1K gold lead, but it suddenly feels like Brooklyn College very much in control of this one.
Oh, they super are, and because they got that trade back here on the bottom side, Jace was taken down. The ADC was out of clearing the wave, out of pushing it away. You're guaranteed that this pressure is not going to come to the bottom side again. So when the Jarvan comes in, you can get a surprise sneak attack in the jungle. That's what happened. They don't have the flash. It could have been a kill, but it was just a disengage. So with that, Brooklyn guarantees another Drake. They are on soul point, taking almost 90% of objectives thus far. I think it was just one Herald that was traded out by UAlbany, and Brooklyn showing an impeccable performance against the team that is 6-0 and top of standings right now.
Yep, this is no joke. I mean, this is a heck of a performance regardless, but to do it again against a UAlbany team that is undefeated, got themselves a really good draft with some really strong power picks. This is really impressive stuff. This game is not over yet, though, because, again, Albany through just doing the little things right all over the map. Hang on a second. Tony117 gets the ult down onto Smells Fishy. Here comes the TP. Might be in some trouble here. Dan Crackers is down at the bottom, and so is Corralius. It's a double TP. Smells Fishy just delaying the inevitable here. Oh, the kill does go over to, unfortunately, the support, but able to create a little bit of pressure here, and maybe they can get something out of this. Nope. BC Jace just going to knock down that mid-tier 1. There wasn't any sort of objective to play for. The wave wasn't in a fantastic spot either.
With that, Brooklyn really guarantees a lot of pressure in regards to jungle control on the side of UAlbany. You see here Zenitsa pushing out even more, so the split push potential for Brooklyn is insane. Quan is going out here for a defense. Are they going to commit? No, this Darius is strong. You really shouldn't do it by yourself. Now that you have done crackers, maybe. But one thing as well about what happened there in the bottom side is that unfortunately, we don't see from UAlbany the potential of this composition thus far. We don't see Brooklyn really gathering up and just going together for a hug to line up Cataclysm, Shockwave, and Bullet Time. So things are still looking slow for a composition that really needs 5v5s, that really needs 4v4s. So whenever that does happen, UAlbany has a big shot. But Brooklyn is starting out Baron as we speak, 4v4, and that could just be the beginning of the end.
Phenomenal. I mean, foot on the gas. That is what you want with this kind of competition, because like you said, so this is going to go UAlbany's favor if the game state stays even, because they can team fight so much better. Here comes the set in with the ultimate. Dan Crackers able to not get it secured. 166 going to walk away with it. Dan Crackers going to flash away. There's no shot, right? Zenitsu able to get the Q down. W not going to land. Able to flash away there is Corralius. So blowing a lot of summoner spells, but hang on a second. Here comes Super Ben. Bullet time, kill time, taking away the Baron from a couple of your players' time. That's another one. Oh, Soph, we were just praising them. Brooklyn College, it's starting to fall apart. They are able to get it onto their, crucially, the AD carry and the mid laner. So still some pushing potential with this Baron power play.
That was on the back of Dan Crackers, all of it. It was Corralius in the back bush there with being behind the pit. Then you have the set coming out just front line. You don't care. You're going head first. And they actually dealt so much damage to around 3 players of Brooklyn. I really thought that maybe they were gonna take out someone. They have to flash away. I thought it was gonna be the saving grace of UA's top laner, but it wasn't. Flash back to back from Zenitsa back to the pit. And when you have that happening, you guarantee 1 kill. But the rest of UA is following down their footsteps, and they guarantee damage coming out from Bullet Time, Super Ben finishing them off, then Tony as well getting so much CC dealt that you finally have those moments where UA can shine. We are looking at 1 minute again for the next Drake. The soul point is here for Brooklyn, so UA really has to contest it.
Yeah, all of a sudden, this game looks like it's about to pop off here. Like you said, another objective looks like it's going to be contested. Smells fishy, able to glacial path out 116. Not going to be on the front foot here on a Dragon for the first time all game. Charsu, excuse me, looking for a flank. That Scuttle Crab all of a sudden proving really, really valuable. There aren't many places that UAlbany can hide. Here comes Chesson. This sends Super Ben separated. Gets the quickest down onto all four of them. Cataclysm down. That is a bunch of damage coming in. Raining down from BC. And that bullet time is too little too late, my friend. Feathers getting pulled back. Carnage all across the bottom river. How about Brooklyn coming to play against the undefeated Albany squad?
At the same time, it was a 1-for-2. It wasn't that bad for UAlbany, considering how that fight was going for Zenitsa in particular. My god, that Darius was scary. Really, the guillotine of Noxus, guaranteeing all of the last hits on the team fight. Oh no, gotta be careful. Superman, you don't want to check this Darius out in your lane anytime soon. But because of a successful 2 kills for 1 for Brooklyn, they guarantee uncontested that final Drake, the soul of this Chemtech, and we're just really going for a 24-minute into Elder Drake. It's gonna be 30-minute Elder Drake, very fast, and a super intense game so far.
And again, this is what we wanted to see from Brooklyn, from this composition. Pedal to the metal. Do not give Albany any chance to breathe. The later this game goes, it's going to favor their composition, and little by little, again, we've given Albany credit because even though the game has gone in BC's favor in a lot of kind of the micro, Albany has stemmed the bleeding by taking care of the macro, especially Corralius in the mid lane. Look at that CS lead. It is just ballooning.
What? That's monstrous. Oh my, how did we not look at that earlier? I think it's just because of the amount of action that has been on the Rift so far. 1,400, 1,300 gold ahead.
Ooh.
And speaking of, shut down by Zenitsa.
Those bleeds can sneak up on you. Corralius had nothing that they could do there. Oh man, hang on a second here. Chaosu, Rakan in some trouble here. Able to get away. The Serpent's Fang as well. I wanted to point that out earlier, just kind of switching gears a little bit. Not my best transition. 166. Grabbed himself a Serpent's Fang, excuse me, really, really early. Into an Orianna and Set.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Beautiful. It's it just really feels super satisfying. It's like ASMR of League of Legends. You're just gonna see those shields popped away like a bubble. Very, very nice. At the same time, Chashui, you gotta be careful. I know you have full control. Oh, they don't have vision now.
No, but they got the homies in it in 116 on the chase here. Exhaust comes down onto the Jarvan. Quan taken out of the fight. There goes the bullet time. It's going to dissuade the fight, but Tony is in trouble. Smells fishy, picks up the kill. Now Quan goes back in, and he's got nothing more than a prayer, and that is not going to be enough in this instance. Mid-tier 2 goes down. Chemtech, Soul, Baron, and now the mid-tier 2. Everything coming up Brooklyn.
6,000 gold ahead for Brooklyn as they really are getting themselves on the fast track of victory, at least for the first of the games in this best of 3 against the first seed team of ECAC. Going for another 1v1, might be soon turned into a 1v2. Zenitsa disengages because, well, you are 5v2, 5, 2, and 3, Darius, but I know you can get those kills, but you don't want to give the shutdown away either.
Yeah, exactly. A 450 gold bounty on his head, Zenitsu. It was looking like that the game was starting to get away from him in the early laning phase, but he clawed back, clearly knows this champion and its limits very, very well. Took it into a tough matchup with the set, and now finds himself ready, a full item ahead of his counterpart.
Oh no!
Hang on a second here. Good night, sweet prince. Rakan goes down without a fight. Now here comes the TP. It's a 5v4 for Albany. They've got purchase here onto this Baron. It's going to spawn in 3 minutes. This could be Albany's tickets back into the game.
Yeah, Baron is just here. It's 2:45 for the Elder Drake to spawn. Zenitsa BC is going for the top lane. Might be taking out the enemy top laner too. The flash away is not enough as they're trying to get some pressure here on the pit, but they are outnumbered.
They passed each other like ships in the night, and Dan Crackers was the rocks onto which the ship was. Actually, no, the ship usually gets destroyed onto the rocks. Mixed metaphors did not go my way there. Either way.
I just thought about the Titanic or something.
Yeah, it was not my best work. We move on. It's a 4v4 for the Baron. And look, you still got the Jarvan Orianna combo and the bullet time to layer over the top of it. The Wombo combo is still there. What we like about this composition can still be executed, but so the lead is up to 5,000 now. We are not talking about the same game anymore.
No, we definitely aren't. And I think it would really depends on BC making a mistake at this point so that UA can really set up a good Wombo combo. As you mentioned, 4v4, we're looking at a game where every single time Zenitza just rushes down Ghost and Flash onto Super Ben as they're doing it as I speak.
Oh my goodness, that's exactly what's going on. Super Fishy in, using all the range of that Lissandra kid to get in for the business. Bullet time over the top. It barely touches Zenitsu. And now even more CC, if you can believe it, as here comes the Rakan with the quickness. Triple kill for 166. So many points of pressure. Brooklyn doing the best acupuncturist impression as they are cruising to a victory here.
They really are. Baron's still on the pit. And 4v4, I cannot believe the amount of damage that Brooklyn has been able to output Zenitza and 166. We talk about them. We talked about this being the main stage of Brooklyn in this first game of the best of 3. And this might be coming to a conclusion. First brick in, first inhibitor brick, there you go, taken down in the mid lane on the side of UAlbany, and a solo Chashwi Rakan taking the tier 2 on the top side. This is looking Brooklyn written all over it.
On the fun side of the East River, Brooklyn runs this. This is about New York City. None of this upstate BS. Repping for the NYC. I was in Brooklyn over the weekend. It was for the first time ever.
Okay.
I went there.
How did that go?
Support.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, it was great. I went for the New York Marathon. It was a ton of fun to watch. Supported a friend over there. Went to Brooklyn for the first time. Had the best bagel with lox I have ever had.
Oh, I was going to ask. So it's about the bagels, and it's about the hot dogs as well, isn't it?
Yes, but I'm not brave enough to try a street hot dog, even though
really you are Brazilian. What are you talking about?
No, I know, dude. I'm not very courageous when it comes to food. I have a very sensitive tummy. I'm a sensitive little boy with a sensitive tummy.
Oh my! You got the boy with the tummy ache, the brave boy.
I'm a brave boy. Even braver is Shusao as he goes in with the quick as it gets immediately blown up. Dan Crackers might have some purchase into this fight here. Jace free firing on the Xayah, gets the feather pullback, and that will be all she wrote with Zenitsu wreaking havoc. A triple kill. The Elder and Jace just right-clicking everyone to death. That means that should be GG for Brooklyn. The respawn timers might just be too long to overcome.
The Elder Drake buff was still being taken, but it felt like it was already in use. The amount of damage, 10%, 20%, 30%, just one shot blowout from Brooklyn's Zenitza and 166 was so powerful in this matchup. And they're going to take the first Nexus turret, the next Nexus turret, and the Nexus along with it for the first win of our best of 3 4v4.
How about it? Albany on upset watch. I'll be honest with you, Soph, I did not have that on my ECAC bingo card today. Albany has
the
just...
classics.
No, no, especially not exactly with this composition. This was high risk, high reward. And look, there's two schools of thought.
That's
if you are the
underdog.
Yeah, if you are the underdog going into a matchup, there's two schools of thought. Now, Brooklyn might not see themselves as the underdog, and any Brooklyn fans in the chat, they might not see them as the underdog either. Fair enough. To each their own. But 2 games behind them in the standings, Albany just kind of, with one hand tied behind their back, schooling everybody they played. They went with something that could have failed spectacularly, but it did not.
Oh, yeah. It really just the exact opposite. And I'm so happy to see it because we know how squishy junglers can just fall out in the mid game. They just don't have any place at all. But then you mentioned the Serpent's Fang. You mentioned the Draktar as the first item there for the jungler for Brooklyn. And really, that was the beginning of the end for UA because everything was really going one after the other. Herald, 1 Drake, 2, 3, 4, stacked into a beautiful team fight in the Baron. Actually, an uncontested Baron push. and the second Baron also taken by them next, that when they got to Elder Drake, things were really already finished.
Yeah, that was just dotting some I's and crossing some T's there. And that first Baron push, that looked like where it might have started to get away from them, right? We saw maybe a little bit of greed, right? Okay, like just, with this Kha'Zix, you think, okay, we're invincible. I'm unstoppable. Oh, just kidding. I'm still a Kha'Zix. I still have about 1,500 combined HP. Yeah. But it worked out great, and phenomenal stuff from BC. So, if any last words before we get into a break and see if they've got a 2-0 in them?
Well, I think the last things I want to say here is, are we going to see the Kha'Zix ban? Are we going to see the Kha'Zix picked again? And whenever we know if they're going to go blue or red side, is that going to influence that much? 4x4, I am looking forward to it, but stay with us. We're going to be right back after a break.
Welcome back, everybody. Oh. Hey, yo, we're still here. The ECAC presented by Esports U. Hell yeah, brother. All right, 4x4 and Sofchan back with you for game 2. Should be a banger. Almost as much fun as that intro. No, more fun, I dare say. Brooklyn College, Soph. That is what we're here to talk about because they are on the verge of something great.
We hear from producer that they've dropped the stream deck. Shout out to Leighton. Okay, our crew here is like all about fun, and we love to see it. 4x4, we are coming to a second game of our best of 3. Brooklyn took the dub in the first game. UAlbany is going for the second game, choosing red side. So 2 red sides in a row. Looks to be a team looking for that last pick and just really thinking about counters.
Yeah, and they love red side. That is, yeah, like you said, they are just looking for that counter pick. That their bottom lanes, they kind of just like to plug and play them, and they left set for R5, and it kind of worked. I mean, it was okay. Zenitsu just, towards the end of the game there, really seemed like he just knew his champion a little bit better. And
this is the Darius like flexing.
Yeah. And once that Serpent's Fang came in, we were seeing replays, if you guys were sticking around over the break, I was reminded just that Baron fight where Dan Crackers gets a nice little ult. And again, not many like big BV members to, you don't get a ton of value out of it, but went in and got what should have been an enormous W shield out of that haymaker. And 1166 just said, actually, I'm just going to kind of just bug things through that.
Like Fruit Ninja.
Exactly.
Like that. Yeah, exactly.
Just shredded him. I mean, turn him into string cheese. And,
yes. Basically, just making a smoothie with those fruits.
Yeah.
All right, we look at Brooklyn going for, again, focus here for the first ban on that Riven. We saw Brooklyn going for 2 other bans in the top side. It was the Jax and the Aatrox, if I'm not mistaken. So big focus on Dan Crackers. We saw them performing super well, especially getting that first blood, the first 1v1 kill on the top side. They're really guaranteed good potential for Quan to get pressure on the other side of the map. So things were looking good until really 166 on their Kha'Zix just said, well, we are actually going to take this train and go to Snowball City, and they really did it. They went choo-choo all around and guaranteed a win with a Kha'Zix that I really wasn't expecting to. But it's all right. UAlbany going for that Stana, I think, as we saw on the last game as well, 4-4.
Yeah, very similar bans coming through here. It was the Riven and the Syndra. I forget exactly what the third ban was, but Senna won no part of that. Jason, Charsu, they got the Zyra Rakan. They want no part of the Rakan now, so that's going to be a ban. And something you said before we threw the break, so was, what are they going to do with 166's champion pool? Are they going to say, all right, we want no part of that? Or do they trust themselves and say, you know what? I bet you can't do it twice. I have a feeling that's what Albany's going to say.
Me too. I think it's because, although it was such a great performance from 166 on the Kha'Zix, I'm still skeptical about it because it's such a toying cost, and sometimes we're just not lucky like that. Oh yeah, it was the Swain. I think we did see the Swain as the last ban for Brooklyn. I like having the Rakan out of the table because that was the first big guarantee for Brooklyn on the blue side. So at least you're going to get some sort of a disadvantage for the Xayah should it appear for Brooklyn, should they go for the Xayah first pick. So things are going to be a little more difficult on the bottom side for Brooklyn. But on the side of UAlbany, I agree with you. I don't think there's going to be a Kha'Zix ban. I think this would be, it makes more sense to have a target for Zenitsu instead with that Darius. It's just a champion that can do so much even when it's behind, whereas the Kha'Zix really needs that big lead to succeed.
We will see what they go with on that that first pick. The Lissandra worked out very, very well. You talk about the backline access that this champion could provide for Brooklyn. That's exactly what they did. It just felt like in those skirmishes, in those team fights later in the game, it was just one thing after another. You got away from the Kha'Zix, great. Here comes Lissandra. Here comes Rakan, just kind of over the top. Twice, just pinballing into the back line, runs the quickness right through you. Lissandra is a phenomenal pick. Smells Fishy going to be back on that. Superman back on the Misfortune.
All right. I think that is bold. I wouldn't go for a ADC first pick when it's not a Xayah or a Kai'Sa at the moment. I don't think I would do that personally, especially because the Misfortune is so fragile and so immobile. They did have a Braum last game, so we'll see what's going to be the priority. I prefer the Orianna. I think the Orianna was the first pick the previous game. So I think these two were interchangeable. I think it was just them two.
1-2, 2-1.
Yeah, exactly. So it doesn't make that much of a difference. But they are going for what you suggested. They're going for a rather run it back. We do the wombo combo again, but we're just going to make it work better this time around.
Yeah, it's going to be an execution diff, apparently. Leona does a lot of the same stuff Rakan does, wants to go in, just champion made of CC, wants to make things happen in lane, which we saw Charsu do quite a bit. We were praising him for finding angles on the Rakan and just getting things done on that champion in lane. Orianna, like you said, the MF early on, like you said, very squishy, immobile, and really just can't do a lot unless there is a lot of setup around her. So relying on that, and Jace with no Rakan does not opt into the Xayah, rather going for the Kai'Sa.
It's good. It's those two meta picks that we mentioned for ADC. Xayah not there because of the Rakan, I understand. And especially because of what we have so far, they are not going for any jungles. Ooh, okay. Okay. So getting maybe an upper hand for Den Crackers on this one, which also allows for Brooklyn to have a counter pick for it. They do guarantee and confirm the Jax as their third pick of the game. I wonder what's going to be the response from Brooklyn on this one.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see here. Zenitsu, again, don't think he's going to opt into any sort of Horn. I think he wants something that is a little more high-powered. Malphite going to be taken away. I think from Albany, you're going to see a couple top lane bans. That makes a ton of sense. But again, I think just UAlbany, with the way they've drafted their first two picks, and with Jax being a pick that can fit into so many compositions and can provide you different ways to play out the end game, right? Is such a great solo laner as well. Scales into the late game phenomenally. They are opting to just, keep this kind of a point-click execute kind of team fight composition. But with the Jarvan being taken away, since the other side of that, yes, Jax is flexible and can fit in anything, so why not pick him last?
I think it's because they knew the Jax was going to get banned on this phase. We saw the Jax and the Aatrox getting banned by Brooklyn, so I feel like this is the safest bet. They know that Dan Crackers was one of the more stable points of the game. We saw that being the case for Corrales as well on the Orianna. So run it back for the Orianna, guarantee that the Jax can... that Den Crackers gets a champion that can do well by themselves in the top lane, and that can also become a threat for late game split push. And the rest of the team are just going to fall together in a composition. I really like this because although the Jax wants to go in, if you are patient with how you play the Jax, you can stay with him close to the Misfortune and just get the stun just around her. So whenever the Lissandra, the Kai'Sa, and the Leona go in, because they all want to get the access to the backline, they are just going to have to fight the champion with the lamppost, right?
You can peel really, really well with that. Zenitsu,
Oh,
bring the Garen. He has played that before. Again, last week in the 2-0 over Farmingdale. And the Braum kind of takes care of some of that peeling. We're going to be back on this Kha'Zix again. But this is Brooklyn's identity. Carry jungler, and the Echo was banned the last time.
Yeah.
So, wouldn't be surprised if we saw that either. That is a lot of magic damage in this composition. But other than that, again, this is just what Brooklyn do. Assassin, big time carry in the jungle, and a powerful top side. Meanwhile, AP mid or AP jungler for AP jungler. Quan gonna be on the Lilia.
I think it's so interesting that we have Zenitsu again on a... It used to be like the staples of early classic OG League of Legends, right? Darius Garen. The Demacia Noxus matchup. And both of them just really want to go flash ghost into the back line, just YOLO, I don't really care, spin to win sort of case. So it's interesting to see that Zenitza is that sort of player. But on the side of UAlbany, I think it's interesting. The Lilia pick for Quan, it's a little different from the Jarvan. The Jarvan has much more direct access. The Lilia is going to be keeping DPS, right? She's going to be keeping crowd control per second as well, because she's going to be going in, dealing some damage. That's going to be taking the passive with the damage over time. Then she goes in, deals some damage. She's going to be roaming around the fight, and that is going to allow for a gameplay that maybe requires to go for a full clear more than it is those early skirmishes, especially because we saw how 166 can do well in the early game invade. So I would say that UAlbany has a better shot of guaranteeing a good early game if they stay straight away from the enemy jungler.
Yeah, and you are fighting fire with fire a little bit here, right? You're taking a damage dealer through and through. An AP bruiser, yes, but a damage dealer still in the Lilia.
Yeah.
And like you said, I think kind of speaking to what you were saying about Jax being able to get the counter strike off and just kind of play patiently, that's kind of what I see with Lilia as well, right? Able to, again, like whether it's scuttle in or scuttle out, or be able to jump a little bit, get as much of that, the dream out as you can, and then bam, into an ultimate and pounce. And then that MF ult, that Braum ult gets a lot easier to hit. Out of the rift we go. Brooklyn, one game away from something that has not been done this split in the Fall 23 contender split in the ECAC, which is beat UAlbany in a best of 3. Albany taking no prisoners here, taking a very aggressive approach in this top side. Recall out from 166 all the way though, but down on the alarm, getting the homies up here to provide some cover.
Yeah, and it really makes sense because 4x4, it's what we thought could be the case for UAlbany in this game. They get the deep vision so they can control the enemy, and they know that the jungle is going to be safe. Corellius is alongside Superbad and Tony on this side because they want to know that no hidden 166 is going to be around, and then you guarantee that Quan is going to have a better time. She can do her as the Lilia a little slower on the clearing compared to how the Echo can be in regards to going for early ganks, and also compared to how the Jarvan plays in the early game. So I agree with you. We're looking for a composition that is much more patient, and maybe that is the one thing that could break the legs of the Brooklyn composition, considering they just really want to go all in. Oh, there, Ignite, Garen!
Oh, baby, Ignite Flash. Yeah, we've seen 3/5 of the God champions, right? Garen, Olaf, Darius, Sets. We've seen 3/5 from no Olaf, but just a lot of chat champions, like you said, a lot of OG want to go forward. And look, this is kind of what, for UA, it was a different type of patience last year, right? It wasn't as compositional. It was, hey, we just do fight that, so let's just wait to take the fight. But at every corner, Brooklyn, as Zenitza taking low here, as Dan Cracker's pressing the level advantage here. At every corner, Brooklyn kind of proved me wrong. They overshot my expectation of saying, no, actually, we can keep our foot on the gas. And even if 116 isn't going to get kills necessarily with his advantage, guess what? We're going to stack up 4 dragons and a Baron in 24 minutes. So they were able to create pressure points outside of the stuff you're going to see at the bottom of the board.
Definitely, and it's so good to see that UA noticed that was the case and guaranteed the Jax because they saw it wasn't banned in the first phase. That is so good for them. We're looking at Dan Crackers being one of the most stable champion players in the composition for UA in the previous game. And how, look at that. They got the advantage in the lane. They shoved it. They're getting even more vision, deep vision, and knowing that this is where Echo is. So we know that Lilia is safe. Even we could see a trade coming out from these two. Is it going to be the case?
And Dan Cracker shoves his lane in immediately, not able to get the counter strike onto 116. The smite comes down. It might have bitten off a little more than he could chew here. If he could ward hop his way out of trouble here, just going to hop onto Corellius. Him and Quan able to get the defenses down, and nothing doing. We all exhale. No blood, no foul.
Yeah, but definitely a lot of control from UAlbany on this move, because it's not just taking out the wave management from Dan Caracas, it's also the follow-up there from Quan, from Corellius, knowing exactly the cooldowns and how much pressure the Jax could do onto the Echo, and then instantly getting the presence in the jungle, getting the first Scuttle Crab on the top side, and still having a lot of vision and control over the enemy jungler.
And then I think we shift our attention to the bottom side, right? With those objectives, that's where 166 was able to get an early lead. Now, able to grab a Dark Seal and an Amp Tome, so still feeling pretty good here, making the tempo play and making sure that when that first dragon spawns, I want to be there, and I want to be there with an item advantage, right? I am Echo. I cannot just kind of, make things happen without my damage items. That is the whole reason you pick this champion. You come back with the tempo play. Now, Quan, maybe recognizing that as well and saying, okay, I've got a good window here. I want to make sure that I'm countering this objective control. I'm going to come back with a Blasting Wand. How'd he do?
Definitely quite a lot of damage for a Lilia early game, and goes in with the ignite, but
Oh,
my god, the turret takes them down and goes forward, leaping and guaranteeing the first blood for UAlbany for Dan Crackers.
Dan Cracker's feeling really, really good about that. 13 CS and a kill up. And now with a big, and I mean big advantage. If he can shove in this wave, knowing that, I guess not knowing, but just kind of taking the gamble that 166 is going to show up and just one-tap him.
And there's
But
no
to get
TP
back
as
with
well.
TP. Yeah, exactly. Yep, big
No TP for the
advantage.
Garen. Okay, the high risk, high reward, not just on the Kazakhs that it was in the first game, but now the Echo also transformed into the no TP, no ghost Garen, going for Ignite instead. Very bold, try to go in on a dive and ended up getting killed themselves. This is a good boost in confidence for UAlbany, isn't it, for way forward? Because you mentioned we saw the junglers looking at each other for the bottom side, but now they're actually meeting halfway into the top jungle.
Yeah, UAlbany's saying, look, it's a best of 3. We can still very much say undefeated here. And that's what we talked about in draft, was UAlbany kind of saying, I don't think you can do it twice. And they're certainly feeling themselves here. Dan Crackers, like you said, so was one of the more stable parts of the game. Hang on a second here. Grandmaster at Arms popped. Zenitsu in some trouble here. Has to pop stacks that refillable pot to get himself out of trouble. Does crash the wave, but Dan Crackers making his presence felt here. That sheen hitting like a truck right now.
Yeah, and followed up by 166. They are around here in the jungle, going for the river, getting the next Scuttle Crab. So both junglers heading to different sides of the map. Zenitsu trying to get some more damage onto the Jax. Okay, not enough. They can still survive quite a bit, as UA is the ones trying to start this first Drake of the game.
Yeah, I'm not sure. 166 may be caught between a rock and a hard place. Gonna grab that Scuttle Crab control, but again, at what cost? Dan Cracker's just staying under the tower. He says, I dare you to dive me. You're just going to get counter-strike to death. I'm going to flash away. I'm going to make you look very, very silly and make you feel very, very sad indeed. But that's not going to stop 116 from trying to walk into a stealth ward. And Dan Crackers will say, all right, waste his time 2023. I'm going to take my leave here. And his team can grab a dragon on the other side of the map.
Super easy. And a TP back as well. Not even going to mix the cannon.
Man.
Are we going to see that? Oh, no, please. Oh, no. I'm so sad. I wanted to see if they missed the minion. But I believe that because they were there, they guarantee the cannon. They're not like me, like ADC in the bot lane. They don't miss cannons. That's just a me thing. And it's totally fine. I need to practice more. It's okay. But bottom side, I feel like although there was no pressure from either of the junglers, we are looking at Jace really getting a big lead in CS, as we saw in the previous game as well. And it is the same case for Corellius in the mid lane, with UA being ahead in that regard. Hence why overall there's just 1,000 gold that UA is ahead for taking their first Drake and the first blood.
Yeah, the tables are turning here a little bit because for all the objectives and stuff and kills that BC got early, they were
Oh my
also...
god, look at the difference at top lane. Excuse me, that's just huge already.
Wow. Yeah, almost 1,000 gold here. Zenitsu on the Zerker's Greaves rush, as you do with Garen. And Dan Crackers still just feeling really good on a Sheen, a longsword, and a bit of a garage sale build for the boy up in the top lane. Cleanse popped here by Superben. CC coming down. The solar flare has come down. The exhaust still available here, but turning these really well. This is just what UAlbany's bot lane does. So we've seen them do this twice now. They can't keep getting away with it. Flashing forward, CC down. One more auto might do it. Super Bren not going to get that second kill. Meanwhile, there's a scuttle for the top. Not the top scuttle, excuse me. That is the Herald.
It's a big
is
scuttle.
the name of that thing. Yeah, big scuttle, exactly. Mommy scuttle here. Corralius, almost got the shockwave off, but the frozen tube is going to trap her there. Doesn't even matter. Smells fishy, smells dead is what that smells like. Hey, yo, hang on a second. In the bottom lane, just completely circumventing this tower, able to get the dive off, and now Soap, it is all falling apart, except for, of course, in the top lane where Zenitsu able to grab a kill back. But hang on a second here. UA running away with this one.
Yeah, they are not. Brooklyn guarantees at least a one-off trade for that 1 versus 4 kills on the side of UAlbany. Really dominated that bottom side. Herald in the mid lane. They got the fight, they got the buff, and a lot of damage dealt here being devised in gold between the mid laner and the jungler. As that lead has come from 1 to almost 2,500 gold for UA in a matter of 2 minutes, especially because of a big engage in the bottom lane. We saw it happening with the team fight starting from Chashui, and instead of that going for BC, it ended up being UA playing that super carefully and super well into bullet time, especially looking at Tony here going for the flash forward to guarantee the concussive blow and taking the stun, guaranteeing that as the final hit for Misfortune to set it up. Alongside a dive that was also super well executed, even if it was off screen.
Yeah, no, it was very, very well done. I mean, yeah, you don't expect an MF Braum lane to play like that, but Super Ben and Tony just kind of redefining what you expect this lane to do. And again, just being really, really patient. And that was the name of the game for UAlbany last game and this game. Last game, it wasn't enough. And again, you got to credit 166 and Zenitsu for that, what they were able to do on that Kha'Zix Darius pairing. Well, Tony is in a little bit of trouble, but he goes even more trouble is Super Ben. No cleanse, and now Jace into the backline with the killer instinct, able to get the damage down onto Super Ben, but dealing it back themselves. 116 showing up and grabbing their first kill of the game. Tony in some trouble, but Tony will not die. Hang on a second, making me look silly here, Tony. You were supposed to back up.
Okay, the slow is enough to get them away. One other tower shot would have been the doom for Jace, but they did not make you look silly. Mid lane, we saw Quan going on for a gank on Corralius, but they're going to instead reset. And 4x4, I love what we saw from BC in that fight because they noticed Super Ben doesn't have cleanse. Let's take this window of opportunity and just really go for it. Yes, there is Glacial Fissure, but what can the Misfortune do without cleanse and without the flash? Well, basically nothing, and she goes down.
Yeah, it's like you said, this champion is extremely immobile and very, very fragile. Blew the cleanse and is opting for just a straight glass cannon build here, right? I mean, just going straight into the Yomu's Ghost Blade. That's why you lane her with a Braum, right? Without her big burly buddy, it gets really, really tough. And just great vision on that ultimate by Charsu. That solar flare over the wall. You know, just starting out with that solar flare is so lethal because oftentimes you can get someone to just flash or panic flash, right? Or just panic cleanse. And then you go, guess what? I'm Leona. This is just what I do. There's 4 more where that came from, buddy. Ball over the wall. Corralius saying no one is getting inside the pit here. Albany in control here. But BC not out of it.
Definitely not. And it's what we saw from BC in the last game. They had good control on the top side. Then in the bottom, there was a solo 1v1 on the top side too. So things are looking very similar, but reversed with UA having that lead onto the Dragons. And I really like that because BC, if UA wants to get them to a game 3, BC has to come to a halt now. The Echo has to be not as powerful as they want to be. And speaking of them,
he's got a proto belt, and he is the boy who shattered time and expectations in game 1, but maybe not on this gank just yet here. But like you said, you've got to just kind of keep your pedal to the metal here. And Dan Cracker's playing respectfully, though, because he's seeing Zenitsu. He's maybe acted a little fishy here. Bam, there goes that Scryer's Bloom. 116 knows the jig is up. Dan Crackers playing respectfully on that side of the lane. 116, excuse me, did not, 116 calling his bluff there. Didn't work.
And I really like it. Oh, wait.
No.
Oh, for the plating. 3 seconds to go. Great job. Super close call, but very well deserved for Corralius here on 2 seconds for those platings to go down. Gets them. The TP goes in the bottom side. Are they going to escape?
Smells fishy, gets the frozen tomb down onto Tony, but he's a big Braum, pops the glacial fissure. Anything your Freljord champion can do, I can do better. Had to cleanse out of that one and cancel the ultimate, but who's going to come out on the better side of this trade? Smells fishy, in some trouble here. Jace trying to get the damage down onto Corralius.
Nice.
Able to get the killer instinct shield, but it will not be enough. Orianna does damage now, kids. This champion is a menace. 3 kills for UAlbany.
And not just the Orianna does damage, the Braum also does. And we saw that once again going on for the flash and the Q
boy.
and top side.
Quan joining the party here. 166 trying to make something happen on the bottom side. Observer, pick your poison here. What are we going to see? We're going to see the Braum grabbing a kill. It does damage, as my wonderful color caster pointed out to me. Dan Crackers and man, just ping-ponging, kiting poor Zenitsu. Gets the Lilting Lullaby down. Conqueror comes down for Quan.
Oh,
not able to get. Oh, the Demacian Justice almost got the kill there. But UA fully in control of this one. 6,000 gold the lead now.
It was a very close call there, almost taking down Quan, but Zenitsu ends up falling, and this tower, it might as well just be gone as well.
Yep.
Being the second brick of the game to be taken by UA, with the first one being in the bottom side. And overall, we are looking at this chart, and the biggest gap in gold is in the bottom side. The Misfortune Super Ben is 1,000 gold ahead, and that's the biggest that we've got so far. Oh no, excuse me, the mid lane is what we got the most. It's 2,000 for Corralius, with that big gap that we have seen in the previous game of CS in the lead, and now with 2-0-2 and the 300 gold bounty on their heads.
Yeah, how about that? The Braum with the bounty on their head. Beautiful solar flare. 166 looking for blood. He's got to keep himself relevant in this game. Able to get, and he just gets popped before he even popped the ultimate. Corralius taking scalps.
They have Leandres, they have Muck Boots, and Zenitsu's now actually going to be kiting back on Quan, but there it is, Dun Crackers has arrived, and the rest of the squad of UA too, so you better watch out. Top laner really can't spend any more of those kills in 1 and 2. This tier 1 mid lane is just about to be the last tier 1 taking on the side of BC.
Here comes Zenitsu. Ba-ba-da-ba. Super Ben is super dead. Shut down for the Garen. The ult comes down. And you know what? Respect. This is what you got to do, right? Okay, yeah. MF doesn't have cleanse. She's a little too far up. We got to go for this. You got to throw just spaghetti at the wall when you're down as big as BCR.
Yeah, and Mum's Bagoot, when you throw it, sometimes it sticks, sometimes it doesn't. And
Amen.
When you're up against a Misfortune, it usually does stick, especially when she doesn't have those summoner spells. We are 25 seconds away from the third Drake of the game, potential soul point for UA. A lot of vision from the side of UA, protecting this jungle on the bottom side. The river has been scouted by BC instead, and they're going to be taking this Scuttle Crab, guaranteeing even more pressure and priority for this next Drake.
Quan and company very much in control. They're not the first ones to the dragon, but they might be the last ones standing. 116. Kind of just throwing out the Q there. The rest of his team is nowhere to be found. I don't think they want any part of this. This isn't the soul just yet. This is just soul point. Creating other avenues of pressure on the map. 116. Maybe going in for a bit of a, go in, steal it with the smite. Nope. Not even able to ult. That's twice now. 166. Not even able to press R with the ruthless efficiency that UA finished him off with.
Yeah, Chain of CC really relentless on the side of UA, coming out from Braum, Shockwave, into the sleep dust of Quan, and the stuns from Dan Crackers really lined up super well from UAlbany. Top side was taken by Zenitsu. That tier 1 is going to be the first taken by BC, and the first objective bounty claimed by them as well. So a little bit of extra gold that's coming to their pockets, but they're still a little late on rent payment, and the paycheck is not gonna be found until they can actually contest the next. Drake is gonna be the final one with a Ocean Soul. That's gonna be so much healing and protection for every teammate of UA.
Yeah, I mean, if they get that soul, it's done and dusted. Short of everyone on Albany just unplugging their keyboards and playing everything with telepathy, it's just not going to happen. Dan Cracker's buying himself some time. 166 is level 10, getting rained on here. Oh, that's a very nice ultimate. Able to get back in. Force the flash out of Dan Cracker's here. Hang on a second. Do they have purchased back into this game? Zenitsu has so much healing. He goes in with the W with the stun. Dan Crackers. What? Oh my goodness. Got the echo out of nowhere.
The auto attacks.
166 thought that Dan Crackers was completely out of that fight, but he said, nah, I'm back, son, and able to get his team 2 kills. Smells fishy, 2 levels down, but doesn't have enough HP. It does have enough HP to contest this, but hang on a second here. Soph, what's going on to the base?
Well, the base has been destroyed as we speak. Tier 2, Tier 3. Mid lane of BC is getting wrecked. Inhibitor is going to be next, and the Herald might even get a final blow on the Nexus. So it's not going to be the case. But, wow, that was a big diversion, wasn't it, 4x4? Because there were at least 2 repositions there. 1 TP coming out from Smells Fishy. 2 repositions from 166 and Zenitsu that were taking a bay by going to the top side and trying to take down Dan Crackers, but then Corellius and that top lane just really bamboozled any efforts of trying to take them down, and even escaped by trading away the TP from Smells Fishy. Things are looking incredibly good for UA at this point, especially with almost 10,000 gold ahead.
Yeah, this is really, really ugly right now for BC. Game 1 went so well. It was such a gritty, hard-fought victory. Meanwhile, you're looking for more picks onto Dan Crackers, and to be fair, they might just get them yet. Charsu able to get the solar flare down here. Dan Crackers might take someone down with him. Hey, yo, Zenitsu is in some trouble. Dan Crackers gonna take one down with him. No shot, he gets away with it. Ward hops over the wall, and just in time for Super Red to show up. Ba-ba-da-ba. If you're squishy, oh my.
That is disgusting. That is just rude. UAlbany, that was rude. Dan Crackers, damn right BC was banning the Jacks from the top laner because they're showing they can do just about anything. Unbelievably strong and invincible 6-1-2. Dan Crackers being once again one of the most stable and advantageous parts of UA. Corellius on the bottom side doesn't have TP, but is definitely taking the attention away from this sneaky Baron. That is definitely going to go down by UA. 4x4, this is smelling like Game 3.
Yep, I think we're heading to a Game 3, so the advantages all across the board. You can see there, Dan Crackers, just 2K by himself over Zenitsu there. And even 166 got all that attention early, but not able to capitalize on it. Quan, I mean, to be fair, this is not to take anything away from Quan, but this has got to be one of the easiest Lilia games he has ever played. His laters are just dominating. Look at 6-1-2, 4-0-5. You have 3-0 on the Braum, right? Combine 6-2-12 in your bottom lane. He just says, all right, I'll just hang back, farm, stack my Rod of Ages, meet you guys at the objectives.
I'll just be your smite button. That's just what it is. 0, 0, and 2. Not even a lot of kill participation. But again, looking at the map, we see BC diverting so much attention and resources to try to take down Dan Crackers. But, well, they really need to do it because the split potential from a Jax is just tremendous. We'll see it once again. Are they going to succeed? We have our camera going back to the Drake as it spawns full vision of UA as they are just about to take the soul point.
Yep, Dan Crackers getting the Baron buff down onto the top lane minions. Solar Flare comes down. Charsu, Counter-Strike comes out. There goes a very nice W. The CC chain will be enough this time around. All right, so who wins? 10,000 gold ahead, Baron buff, naked mid lane with an Ocean Soul, but you have one member less. Is that enough?
Yep. Yeah, this base is not looking decent at all. and it's gonna be so nasty. The Jax with the Ocean Soul is just. I wouldn't want to be VC in this case. They had a team looking for an early game advantage. They had the Echo. They wanted to go for a running back, just press, run into the back line, Zenitza on the Garen. Unfortunately, you cannot do anything once you get to the back line of UA, and UA are performing so well. Most of the team on perfect KDA, and 4 versus 16 kills overall really doesn't translate as much of a dominance that UA has had so far.
No, the Everfrost goes down here onto Tony. Able to say, stand behind me, but really he was saying, I would like you to get in front of me right now. Quan, able to get the Dream Dust down. Not going to pop a Lilting Lullaby just yet. Solar Flare does go down, but again, I mean, this is a 5v3. Maybe this is your best shot here, right?
Oh.
Corralius and Dan Crackers aren't here, and Dan Crackers doesn't have his TP up.
But doesn't matter, 4x4, doesn't matter. They can do it on 4v4 as well.
Yeah, that might be the pivotal question here. Hang on a second. There goes the Zenith Blade. It actually catches there. Catches Quan. Bullet time over. Superman actually gets nothing with that. But now the Corralius has joined the fight. 4v5. This is just like the worst way to go down.
Okay.
Superman flashing forward. That's a Q. Couple more autos into Smells Fishy. Chasing her back into the base. Making it rain. Double kill into the pocket of the UA ADC. And Sofchan, we are going to game 3.
Yes, it is. Inhibitor is just naked here, as they have all it takes to take down Inhibitor. And the Nexus next. We are looking at Dan Crackers just chasing Jace away, while the Nexus turret is almost taking down one last auto. Nobody really commits to it, but Jace is trying to escape from the Jax. It's not enough. 4x4, that is just disrespectful.
UA asserting their dominance once again, saying they are going
It's a
not
T-Bird.
going quietly into that good night. One last Hail Mary push here. The Wombo Combo CC is enough. Corralius getting the 6th kill of the game. Another one coming in for Superben. 7 kills for the Albany AD carry. Make it 8. Why not for good measure? GG's. Game 3, here we come. Albany not, they weren't going to be a tough fight. We knew that, but this is the beauty of best of 3s here. UA have a chance to show that they are, in fact, deserving of their undefeated place at the top of the rankings.
Yeah, and finished 5 kills versus 24 for UA, and I feel like we knew they were going to perform this well. We saw the previous game, and it didn't feel like they lost because they didn't play well. It was just the big snowball steamroll lead, there you go, from BC that got them to the win. But then now that we see UA performing as they were intended to do, team fight, 5v5, mid to late game, they really showed how much they deserve to be on the top of the standings. And this is a game 3, and I love game 3s, especially from two teams that are looking very different in strategies.
Yep. Yeah, I was just about to say that. Literally what I was going to say was, and the most exciting thing about this game 3 is that we've got two teams playing very different styles, and I think what we're going to look for in game 3 is going to be the most exciting part about the draft after we get side selection. How do, I think UA is going to stick with what they do best, right? In a win, in a loss, they didn't change it up. They said, look, we're going to do what we do best. We're going to stick this team fighting style. And again, now is it the time when Brooklyn flinch? Do they, does UAlbany win this game of chicken, right? They say, nope, you blinked. I dare you to play team fighting now. But I think if you're Albany, you say, look, you guys played a heck of a game in game 1. You try the same thing in game 2. Don't think you can do it twice.
Yeah, it really didn't happen twice. And well, I would love to see, although it is two different styles from both teams, I would love to see something new from BC and them showing that yes, they won the previous game. They won the first one against the top of the standings, and they can just as well do it again. But we'll only know about it when we get back from our quick break. So stay there. We're going to be right back.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you so much for sticking around. We've got a good one here. Brooklyn looked like they were upset-minded, took game 1 off the undefeated Albany. But in the best of 3, Albany took game 2, and now we're on the verge of that pivotal third game. 4x4 and Sofchan here with you. And Sofchan, like we were talking about before the break, part of what's making this series in particular so much fun is that we've got 2 teams that play completely different styles. BC, they go absolutely ham, carry topside, Garen, Darius, and then assassins in the jungle. Everybody else is along for the ride. Get in or get the heck out of the way. UA playing a calm, just, pick the OPs, get Jarvan Orianna, and play patient, play for the late game, play scaling. But even though game 2 was a quick victory, that is more or less how they got the job done.
Yeah, and it's not just about that as well. The difference in style, of course, very important. But we got to talk about the fact that UA, once again, we've been saying this for a long time in the series, they are the top of the standings, #1 seed, while BC is tied with another 8 teams on 3rd place on 4 wins and 2 losses. So considering we are on game 3, BC took the first game by being very assertive and dominant with the assassins, goes into the backline sort of jungle composition. I would love to see them going for something different. I would love to see them trying to, although they have picked blue side, trying to counter the more wombo combo strategy that UAlbany has been bringing to the table.
Well, they're picking blue side. Yeah, let's see. I mean, the ban singular so far is just the Riven. Yeah, let's see what they end up going with here. Because, they have a very tried and true defined style. Let's see how it works out. But like we said, UAlbany probably going to go with kind of the same thing. Rakan for Charsu wreaked havoc in game 1. Not going to let him get his hands on that again. Wouldn't be surprised if we see the same first 3 bans from Brooklyn.
Yeah. Yeah, the Darius falling just after. I don't remember which was the 3rd one, but I'm sure that the last 2 ones were the Rakan and the Darius. Makes a lot of sense. You don't want to take out the Kazakhs because you have a composition and a team strategy that really knows how to deal with the early game pressure. And it was all because of positioning. Early vision, aggressive vision, keeping track of enemy jungler worked out impressively well. So we're looking at the hover once again for the Darius for UAlbany, while Brooklyn have confirmed the second ban to be the Syndra. So things are still looking very much towards the Orianna for Corellius, aren't they?
Yep, and I wouldn't be surprised if they got that. Yeah, just banning away the Syndra. I would be stunned if you used 2 mid lane bans there, because you've got B1 as well, right? You still could pick that away. Gonna take away the Jax. That's fair enough. But Dan Crackers, look, this guy has a champion ocean. There have been now, just so many bans thrown his way, and he's found a way to be effective through it all. There's that Senna ban. That is something else we were seeing. So Rakan, no. Darius, no. Just a couple of really problematic picks that Brooklyn were able to carve game 1 open with earlier in the series. But otherwise, pretty much the same stuff back and forth here. Let's see what they grab B1.
I'm looking at a potential Xayah here. Maybe we see the Kazakhs coming out again. Again, I don't particularly fancy seeing the same sort of composition because it's very counterable. You took the upper hand of it being a little new, a little uncharted territory. But Brooklyn, yes, give me the deny on the Orianna for Corrales that we were talking could come out to play. Instead, UAlbany is going for the first pick of Misfortune as they did in the previous game. But that is going to deeply destabilize the Wombo combo of UAlbany.
Yeah, look, maybe the Lissandra is the answer because you can kind of get in, get some lockdown going. MF Braum picked 1-2, okay, or the Lilia. That was what Quan pouted a victory in game 2. A rather passive game 2, it needs to be said, because Lilia, she can do a lot. Quan didn't have to do a lot in that game. And now, hang on a second. Hey. Are we going to get the other side of this draft? If I'm Brooklyn,
they do it.
I am going, I grab Jarvan right here. Just go all in on this. You grab the OPs. You gave yourself blue side. Grab the OPs of the patch.
It's not just the OPs of the patch, it's literally the enemy's composition. I mean, why fix it when it ain't broken? We saw the Wukong coming out as a ban from UAlbany in the first game for Way4, so I really like this for Brooklyn because it combos so well with Shockwave and Orianna that this really feels like a super interesting matchup. UAlbany straying completely away from the APs, likely going for a Tristana mid, especially because the Misfortune has already been confirmed. Is it going to be a lock? We'll see if that's going to be the case. I kind of enjoy it because she's going to really take advantage from a lot of that extra range in the late game that could be super well utilized against the Orianna.
Yeah, I mean, that could be the difference there, right? And Wukong now has a lot of responsibility on his hands, trying to, again, get to that backline. Let's see how the rest of this composition shakes out for UAlbany and how much peel they provide themselves, because right now you've got 3 high-octane damage dealers. Between MF and Tristana, that is a whole buttload of damage coming through, but with different damage types now, Quan provides a lot more than just that damage, obviously. Top lane bans flying in, back and forth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, just 6. I went way off my rocker there. 6 top lane bans have come in so far between the two players.
7.
Make that 7. There we go.
Okay, that's so much respect for them, Crackers and Zenitza. And it's so well placed as well because we saw those 2 players having the biggest of impacts in the early game, in the mid game, and even as the win conditions for both sides. So very understandable. A Tom Kinch getting hovered by UAlbany. Okay, I'm trying to picture what is this sort of composition here.
Yeah, I mean,
what is going to be the 80? Like, do you know what I mean? That's lacking a little bit of cohesion, but it's definitely going to come from the support, isn't it?
Yeah, that I think is going to be the support. Oh, phenomenal. Just instantly slam the Yasuo.
Wow.
That's going to go into the bottom lane. I think maybe Yasuo top? Let's see
We'll
here.
see. We'll see. Okay. That's
Kaisa,
okay.
Yep. Yeah, Yasuo top.
Oh my god.
Blind Yasuo top.
But to be fair, that's 7 champions banned for the top lane. 7! That is huge. 7 out of 10 bans in the table, Tony. Ooh, Aurelia is getting hovered for that potential Den Crackers. I think, yeah, okay, confirmed, locked in. I think that makes a lot of sense with the rest of the composition so far. So that would mean that the Tom Kench is support, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and I think, yeah, with these champions, playing a little bit safe again. Super Ben with the ultimate that they want to use. You want things to kind of just be locked in one place here. You can get a good amount of CC here between Tony diving forward here, but also, again, obviously, Tom Kench, a very good defensive support, but can dish out a sneaky amount of damage in that laning phase as well. But again, we have got carry champions for both of these top laners. Aurelia versus Yasuo. And what we saw in game 2 was when Dan Crackers got himself a lead, he pushed that baby to Kingdom Come. And that kind of happened in game 1, not quite as drastically, but Dan Crackers on that champion was lethal. And now with the Aurelia, you've got similar sort of potential to just snowball a game completely out of control.
At the same time, Brooklyn has a composition that kind of mimics the sort of wombo combo that we saw from UA that we mentioned could have been stolen. And that is the case, especially when you have the Cyclone and the Shockwave knocking people alongside the Glacial Fissure, knocking people up to set up the Yasuo ulti. Everything looks really well, especially the amount of backline access that we see as a constant for the Brooklyn playstyle, even with the Kaisa being the ADC chosen. On the side of UA, 4x4, at first I was trying to understand what was the sort of play style they have here, and the play style I would say is lane control. It's lane control. That's it. So it's going to rely a lot on how Quan is going to direct the ganks early game, because that is going to see leads coming through. We saw as well ADC and mid lane having a little bit of disparity in CS. I think this is the moment where it's going to matter even more.
Yeah, absolutely, because Tristana can do so much with that lead. You talk about the wave clear that Orianna has. Tristana said, anything you can do, I can do better, home slice. And with the amount of lane pressure that the laners of UAlbany can exert, Lilia absolutely loves that. Lilia is just able to thrive on that. Get some invades in, just be able to be first to objectives, take 2v2s in the enemy jungle, or just around scuttle crabs, right? Junglers, we know that their heads tend to fall off if there's a scuttle crab around on the map. Your IQ goes down about 50 points. So you're able to get some friends to help you out there.
Speaking of friends, look at the little lovely bee that Smells Fishy has on the Orianna. Once again from UA, we see an aggressive ward on the top side. From that, they're just easily going to see that Wukong is starting on the red buff, and they can try to direct how they do that pathing. Quan, as a result, is going for the red buff themselves, so they're going to be on opposite sides of the map, really avoiding the first contact with a Wukong that the Lilia is definitely not going to enjoy.
No, that's going to, I think that's probably going to be Wukong favored. Yeah. No leash on the top side, though, for Quan. So I'm going to get a better start to this lane are Superman and Tony. Again, like you said, it is about lane control. Zenitsu on the Yasuo in the top lane. This is going to be an interesting matchup here. Again, high risk, high reward. Not as much from the jungle this time from Brooklyn, but from the top laners, Zenitsu taking no prisoners. And again, Flash Ignite wants to dumpster the Irelia early. And the Ignite, look, into an Irelia, that feels good. You can have impact on the healing. But again, I mean, look, it makes for exciting League of Legends in the chat.
Well, it does. It makes for exciting League of Legends in the casting as well. And when it doesn't go well, then it definitely doesn't sound as exciting for VC. But I would say this is more promising because although they have a similar playstyle specifically for Zenitsu in the top lane with that Ignite, it also means that is just one constant while the rest of the team is going for something completely different, which is the all-in engage mid-game sort of 5v5 composition.
Hang on a second here. Hey, Corellius going forward, takes a tower shot, and that might spell doom here. 166 on the Wukong. Smells Fishy trying to take someone down with him. He's on the wrong side of the jungle, but Quan has purchase onto this blue buff. And hang on a second! Hickory dickory, what's going on in the top lane? Here's Zenitsu, blows the flash and the ignite, but able to get the kill.
Look at that, and both some of the spells spent by BC's top laner. Zenitsu guarantees that first advantage that the Ignite can give to a top laner. They're going to go back with a TP. No, incorrect. Then Crackers is walking back to lane. They're going to give away a couple of those minions, but it's all good and fair in games when the enemy top laner doesn't have TP themselves. I was looking at mid lane, we both were, and Corellius was going so aggressive. As soon as the tower shot came in, I knew things were going to go south, but it wasn't in the mid lane where we got the first blood.
It's called the ambulance, but not for me.
But not for me.
Tony going forward here with the Tom Kench. Yeah, first blood up there to BC and to Zenitsu. All of a sudden throws a bit of a wrinkle into this one, but death taxes and Corellius opening up an absolute cannon of CS in the mid lane. Tristana, obviously very tough to lane against. And again, one thing is the advantages she's able to create in this mid lane. Another thing is what this champion can do with it. But going up, by this much, this early on, and especially into Smells Fishy, who opted for the tier first, that's sunk gold, right? That 400 gold is doing nothing for you as far as combat power early.
Yeah, definitely, but it's what you would expect from this sort of composition so far. We know that the big presence is top lane, so you don't expect that the Orianna is going to deal the damage herself.
Oh, I'm getting dizzy watching these two, dude.
Yo, man, it's now that we think about it, it's just surfing around. And as I was saying, it's kind of a composition. Oh, okay, is it going to cancel? It does. Great stun there to cancel the reset from 166 here in the top lane.
Walked right onto that ward. wasting his time 2023. Quan, meanwhile, happily farming up 11 CS here, up almost 3 camps. Tony going forward, throwing up the shield is Charsu. Superben gonna make it rain. And actually, yeah, BC Jace here opted for the cull early on here. Not able to get the E down. Steel Tempest doesn't land. Oh, hang on a second. No one to knock up. That Q is down. Here comes Quan. And actually, here comes Corralius as well. Shove and roam. Didn't even get the shove here. And Crackers gets back on the board. That is exactly where they wanted the kills. Right back at it with the top lane action.
I love this read from UA because from what I saw from that is both top laners hadn't reached that level 6. As soon as the Yasuo sees, wait, why are they coming to on a 1v1 with me? They don't have level 6. I can try to turn this back because I already got the first blood myself. Then the backup comes in. And to be fair, Dan Crackers was even getting the upper hand on the fight on the 1v1 front, but that's another story. And I appreciate that overall from UA, but BC with an instant read takes down the first Drake of the game, a hack stack that is not going to be on the table at all.
Neither is the Infernal. That'll be up in a little under 5 minutes here. Still a big old CS lead. Actually, not that much as big as we thought. Corralius had that CS lead dwindled into a little bit. Right, went up on the top side to help out. Zenitsu didn't block the E with the wind wall. Hang on a second. Here comes the last breath. Vanguard's edge out. Ignite down. That healing is not going to be as much. Zenitsu takes it back with the Ignite, helping secure the kill. Quan is 2 levels down here. Zenitsu might actually be able to win this. Quan, again, doesn't have the ultimate, but able to get the Q out, the blooming blows. Zenitsu just orb walking back into safety, but Corralius might be what spells doom. Auto attack going to be blocked by the wind wall, but gets into melee range, saying one more will do it. There goes the ultimate. Corralius gets the kill back for Albany.
Oh, that was such a waltz going around on that wind wall, trying to deny as much of the auto attacks from Corralius. That was actually very beautiful to watch. Unfortunately, there's only so much you can do between a rock and a hard place and trying to get to your turret, and they ended up going down. Super nicely done, especially waiting patiently with the ulti there by Corralius, guaranteed that upper hand. Are we going to see a switch lanes? We just saw them Crackers pushing out this mid lane, so it might be the case of a top and mid switcheroo.
Yeah, the Irelia mid, and not a crazy proposition, but I think okay, I think they will, in fact, hold on to their original lane positions. And if I'm Zenitsu, I'm happy about that because Zenitsu, look, I know nothing about this person, but the way that they are opting into a Yasuo matchup like this, I think they want to kill Dan Crackers as many times as they can. They seem like just a competitive, like, get back here. Goodness. I'm not done with you, and if I can't get you, I'll get your jungler falling asleep in midair because only Yasuo players are talented enough to do that. But that will get the ultimate out of the Lilia. Dan Cracker doesn't have his. Onto the Herald they go.
Because of the skin, I didn't notice that the sleeping potion was there and they were going to go for a nappy nap. When they went mid-air, I was like, wait, what? Is it just a DC on this person in particular? But it wasn't the case. Very nicely done there, calculated on Quan. But they go again onto Dan Crackers. But they can surf away on the minions at the same time. BC guarantees the first Herald of the game. Oh no, Jace!
Jeez, explosive charge down. Bullet time! Heal popped by Jace, and that will be enough to save him. If Corralius gets there just a little bit later, they'd have the Buster Shot, and I think able to clean that one up. But this is something we were talking about earlier, what Tristana can do, just being all over the map at all times. But credit to Corralius as well, the player, knowing when to opt in and out of those exchanges, right? Knowing when to roam and getting enough of a CS lead to where, okay, if I miss a wave, it's actually not that big a deal.
Yeah, and actually they can even get the wave. It's just so much of the presence of mobility coming out from a Tristana. And something that I don't think we noticed at the time is that the Misfortune actually used the flash to go in for bullet time. Another flash comes out here in the top lane.
There goes the last breath. Ignite down. 166 helping secure the kill, please. There is no way they get away with that. There we go. There's the last breath. One more auto did it. Zenitsu with the 3rd kill of the game. He's got all of them for Brooklyn.
They do. But everything on the other side of the map really spells lead for UA. As we have it here on the map, it's around 600, 700 gold that the top laner has for BC. While on the other side of the map, things are looking rather similar for UA for the regards of mid and bot lane, especially with that Misfortune. Got my eyes on her with that first mythic item completed, the Yomu's Ghost Blade. But we also saw a lot of gold being distributed there in the top side because of the Herald.
And a 40 CS lead is what has gotten them to that point here. Super Ben onto that Yomu's, like you were saying. So first player with a mythic item across the Rift. A little bit more gold from the Rift Herald charging in, grabbing those plates. Goes into the pockets of Zenitsu, and I think it was 166. So that gold lead alluding to probably about closer to 1,000 on the top side. But again, the UA laners, what can you always count on them on? They are going to CS well in game 1, 2, and 3. None of their laners have been in any sort of crazy laning deficit.
Yeah, and it's what we mentioned in the draft, right? It's all about this lane control that UA really is asserting so well that they are not even behind in regards to gold overall. And they get a counter here for the first Drake of the game for themselves, countering on 1 for 1 overall. So whenever they get, and if they do get the first Herald of their game, this could even turn into a bigger lead because we're still around 2 minutes left of platings to go.
Yeah, that might not be all she wrote. There goes the Glacial Fissure gobbled up. Tony says, get back here. Big ol' shield. Spits him out before any sort of all-in came. Jace did have the ultimate up, but no flash. Eventually close that down. Here comes Quan. Gets the Swirl Seed down. Not going to hit Jace. Vanguard's Edge meanwhile.
Okay.
Now who's going to come out ahead in this one? The last breath goes out. Gets a nice shield. Zenitsu pops the W. Just
Oh my god.
a lot of damage.
What?
Zenitsu, how did you do that?
It's kiting lesson on melee champions. How do they even? So close call, and even is going to be this close call here on the bottom side. Quan and even Coralius. There we go. So many players with a K going out for the dive. While Zenitsu is gonna take down the tier 1 top side.
Well, all the eggs are officially in the Zenitsu basket. And the rough part is, it might not be enough, right? We got to see how this performs in a team fight. That's the next step. You talked about it in draft, so Wukong, Braum, Orianna, they all have knockups to lead right into a very nice last breath for Zenitsu. Can set him up very, very well. But you've got 280 carries and a couple of different damage sources as well coming in here for UA. If they can play these fights patiently and not opt into anything dumb, this composition, again, it just seems a little bit easier to execute. But, look, Zenitsu, that's a 4-kill Yasuo. He's on a Kraken Slayer. You do not want to mess with him.
No, absolutely not. And it's funny that this is still the case while UA is 1k ahead. They kept the 1k lead in gold while Zenitsu is really, really growing, especially with the amount of plates they got on the top side. Flash forward and a rocket jump.
3 levels up. Oh my goodness, that is so much damage. Jace, are you okay?
Oh my god, that is just about as a concussion as you could ever see. Oh god, topside trying to take down Dan Caracas, especially with 166 being all over this jungle. They stole the red buff, they're stealing the Krugs, and they're gonna keep pressuring this topside so Dan Caracas doesn't have any chance to breathe.
So if are we still doing Static Shiv in November?
Wait, are we? Wait, where?
We're really doing this?
Oh, there it is, Kaisa. Oh my god, you sound so disappointed.
I am. I wear my emotions on my sleeve.
Oh,
hang on a second here.
Oh god.
Oh my goodness, smells fishy. Coralius will pay for it with his life. Don't know if he needed to do all that. He did give up over a shutdown over to the Orianna. That's going to be Luden's. Yep, there it is. Okay, I wouldn't say that was worth it. A bit of a gold swing there,
neither.
but Oh, it looked cool.
It's just some. It does it. It's just something that Tristana do, right?
Yeah.
It's all about the genes going in, rocket jump, getting out, sometimes not getting out. it's fine, it happens. But we're looking at BC having Prio for the second Herald of the game, which is going to be huge, massive for them. They managed to get last hit here, confirm the buff, and with 15 minutes on the clock, no platings to be found. There's no extra gold for early pushing of those towers. So wherever they do choose to do it, it's going to be much more about map control than it is going to be of gold.
Yeah, absolutely. The towers are 1-to-1. Top lane tier 1, bot lane tier 1. So you see kind of those parallel lines of scrimmage being drawn. Still want to see these teams duke it out in a proper 4v4 or a 5v5. And as they dot their I's and cross their T's, maybe complete some items and components here, it looks like we just might get that. Dragon going to spawn in about 30 seconds. That should give BC enough time to get there. It will be that third dragon of the game. Smells fishy. He's got to be careful here. Jace trying to push out that mid lane.
Quite a lot of vision from UA as well on this side.
Yeah.
They don't have that much near the red buff, but it's all enough near the entrance of the river. We're looking at Dan Crackers taking out that turret, but Drake, 5 seconds to spawn. This is going to be a team fight.
Dan Crackers has TP, might not need it though. This looks like it's going all right for UA, but maybe Tony's pushed too far forward here. Big Braum W soaked up the entire bullet time. Now it's time to go to bed, but the one heading to the gray screen is Quan. Dan Crackers in with the Vanguard's Edge. Is it too little, too late? It might be. Zenitsu is on fire. 2 kills over to Superman and flashes away to make sure that nothing goes over to Zenitsu. Nothing more, I should say. Herald dropped as well. It's a 3 for 3 here, actually. Turned out all right in the end, but it looks like BC are going to be the ones that get away with this dragon.
They are 4v4, but UA, they thought they could get away with having Dan Crackers on the top side. Then they finally noticed, nope, this is not the case. We need our top laner. We need everything that we can have on the table to try to contest this Drake, and they eventually couldn't do it because every player was falling one after the other. By the time the Dan Crackers arrived, it was just themselves and Super Ben, and you can't do much when the Misfortune doesn't have any protection. That was the case, but we gotta highlight what you said there. Chashu with the knock-up on the bullet time was just done a cup, and the shield on the bullet time was just impeccable. Really soaked up every single bit of upper hand that UA could have in the team fight. And we saw Corellius going up, trying to get the shutdown on Jace, but they don't have that bit of a power spike anymore. They can't just finish it off in one jump, one bomb, and one ulti.
Yeah, not quite. The tables, the playing field is evening, for sure. Smells fishy. I'm waiting for them to get onto that second item. I'm waiting for that Seraphs to come in, get that extra shielding as well. And again, just not be sitting on kind of 400 gold's worth of just empty calories, right? Down 1,000 gold here. Hang on a second. 166 might be in some trouble here. Is going to fall asleep. Couple of ultimate, or no, just one ultimate blown, excuse me. Now Corrales looking for a repeat kill here. Gets the reset. Ooh. Big old ultimate. But again, not enough damage. Quan not able to get the Q down. Smells fishy, able to get away. It looks like anyway. Meanwhile, Zenitsu doing mean things in the mid lane.
Yes, they are. That's why they are so they are just the terror of any ADC. But one thing that UA does have is split push potential with this Aurelia. Forcing out a TP, it's still going to be enough time for them to arrive and then flash forward.
Immediately with the ultimate, Smells fishy, able to flash away, not able to get the E-stun down. Smells fishy doesn't have any sort of ultimate, any sort of reposition tools. Zenitsu versus Corralius, the battle of the Titans continues in the top lane, but we will not get the conclusion yet. Baron up in 45 seconds.
To be continued 4x4, as we saw that TP even being worthless in the bottom side, got themselves with one last flash on the pocket because Dan Crackers knew that even if they could arrive before the tower was taken, they could force out quite a lot of damage. Both towers are up in the mid lane. Whenever one of these two get down, this is going to be big for either of the teams controlling this mid side, the river. And whenever they do decide to go for a Baron, that is just spawning as we speak.
Corralius returning the damage there onto 166. Zenitsu on a Infinity Edge now, so 2.5 items. Got himself the Mythic. This Yasuo all of a sudden just got a lot scarier here. You don't have, I think something else worth pointing out here for the comp of UA, you don't really have reliable CC. All you've got is Dan Crackers with the E for Irelia. That's a tough ability to land, especially on a slippery freaking target like the Yasuo. That is how you deal with the Yasuo. You lock him down and you burst him. There's no lockdown in the comp of UA.
Well, yeah, there isn't. There are a couple of possibilities with stunning from Den Crackers, with the sleep from Quan. Aside from that, things are looking a little less bent on CC and more reliant on pickoffs. And how much they can protect Superban, how much they can protect Corralius. So far, we're looking at a game that is 3,000 gold ahead for UA, although BC guaranteed both Heralds and the third Drake of the game, their second Drake. So things are really looking to be defined by what we mentioned, lane control, that at this point, of course, not being lane phase anymore, just CS and farm control.
Yeah, it just feels like you are relying a little bit more on... Oh, I had a broader point I was going to make, and then the back half of it exited my brain. Gosh darn it.
Oh, it's ADHD things. I don't know if you do, but I do, so I totally understand it. We're on the same boat. There you
late,
go.
and if I take the medication I'm prescribed at this hour, I won't go to sleep. And I want to do that.
Yes. Yeah, not a great idea. No, indeed.
But UA, no, they don't have a lot of lockdown to deal with this. Oh, here we go. Yeah, no, it just feels like they're trying to out damage BC at this point, right? Because you've got a Jace on the Kai'Sa with the Static Shiv. Not really going to be dealing a whole lot of damage. It's not a full-on Kai'Sa. Dan Crackers taking the fight to the top lane inhibitor. Hang on a second. And now UA have just snuck themselves a Baron. I don't think that's a trade I want here. 2 Mountain Drakes, that'll feel nice. But now UA have a way to start maybe closing this game out, because it has felt kind of even, but the gold has been on UA's side pretty much the whole game.
It has grown to 6,000 now. BC takes 1 tower back, and there's no objective bounties on the board because things were very close all around the game. Wow, that is very long range, isn't it? Sometimes I just forget how long that seed can roll. But it's all about, at this point for UA, it's all about keeping the attention between Duncrackers going for the split push on the top side, in this case Corralius split pushing on the bottom, because you have so much mobility with a Tristana and so much siege potential too. So they have everything to just split out the efforts and close the game pretty soon.
Yeah, that's the hope, right? I mean, you've got 2 incredible pushers in the Tristana and the Irelia, with the Baron buff as well. That was a clean take. I think that really can't be understated, because if there was any sort of contest on that, you lose even one of these members. It's not that it's a death knell for UA, but the game gets a lot harder to close out. And one thing that you, again, can count on for UA, the macro is good, right? They know what to do with a Baron buff. They know what to do just kind of in these broader macro ticks in the boxes that have gotten them to a 6-0 record so far. And with this win, I think they would all but lock playoffs. I don't want to say that with any sort of certainty because I don't know for sure, but I think they would. Hang on a second here. Blooming Blows go down. This could be huge here. The Lilting Lullaby goes out. The Q out. And that is the CC chain they were looking for. It was indeed Yanitsu's last breath, but not in the way that BC was hoping for. They take down Yasuo. That's like getting 2 kills with the way the eggs were in this basket. Unless, of course, you walk into tower range. You take tower shots for no reason. 116, able to get out of there with the Clone. Dead Crackers going in with the Vanguard's edge. Over the top, Corralius with the Buster shot. Smells fishy. All he can do is run as his teammates are slaughtered. How? In the blink of an eye, UA take the team fight, the ace, and they might take the series here.
They are most likely going to take the inhibitor 4x4. The minions are backed up, buffed up, and the Nexus stars are going to be falling next. And Nitsa might be the one to save the grace, but is it going to be enough?
If there was one person to pull off a miracle, it has to be Zenitsu. There goes the last breath. It was canceled, so that means they might have enough here.
Oh my gosh.
Dan Crackers! Oh, able to get the last couple of autos. That would have been the cherry on top of the BC Yanitsu pie if they pulled that off. Still would have been a heck of a mountain to climb, but man, would that have been cool. GG's, man. Brooklyn, look, I have not gotten to see Albany's other games, but that has to be one of the better fights that have been put up against, again, this now 7-0 squad in UAlbany. Brooklyn fall to 4-3, but a hard-fought win. They did not make it easy for our top-ranked squad.
No, they did not. We saw BC really fighting until the last breath, as you pointed out there with the Yasuo ulti, but it was really all upon the mid-game because we got wins and wins and wins on buffs, on objectives, on tower takedowns from BC. And then we looked at UAlbany. They were ahead. They kept themselves ahead. Even when the trades were negative for them, they were still on the lead. And that's all because of the macro we all pointed out throughout the series. They know how to take good use of rotations, of priorities, and of vision. It's something that we spotted from the second game onwards, which was, of course, the 2 games that they won. They were asserting a lot of vision, aggressive vision, from the early get-go, and that really set the pace for everything that came afterwards because they knew where to be and when to be.
Well said, Soph. Yeah, I mean, every time I'm looking for kind of things to talk about, and then every once in a while you check the scoreboard and you go, okay, that's 3K. Boop, 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 boop. Ooh, that's 5K. Boop, 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 boop. Oh my, they're up 7K gold. And just everyone, you look up, but again, it's exactly what you were saying. UA just kind of doing everything right. Doing the little things right that makes them the best team in ECAC right now. GG's all around. Again, BC put up a heck of a fight. Loved what we saw from them. Unorthodox picks that worked until they didn't, but there is something there. That sounded kind of flamey. That wasn't meant how it that wasn't how it was supposed to sound. I really do want to give credit to Brooklyn. They made this a lot of fun. They gave us a great 3-game series. So, if any last words before we send the good people on their way, let them get on with their Friday.
And of course, congratulations again to UAlbany. And if you are not done with esports, so are we. Because tomorrow we still have CCC Midwest qualifiers for Rocket League and for Valorant. Both of them are going to be finals tomorrow. So please be sure to be there if you love some Kabul and if you love some agents on Valorant fighting out. And of course, on Sunday as well, we gotta wrap it up with Fighters Cup presented by United States Marine Corps Week 2. So from us, we wrap up our week 7 of ECAC and staying on top, UA as our first seed. How about you, 4x4? Any last regards before you wrap it up?
Nope, GG's. I'm going to go to bed, plenty worn out from what was a tiring but fun cast. I feel like I got my money's worth for this best of 3. Again, GG's to both our teams, Brooklyn Gold and UAlbany. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you to Leighton and the rest of our production staff. Sofchan, thank you so much. Thank you to our players, teams, coaches, spectators in the chat. I have been 4x4. Have a great rest of your Friday.